To the GarageBand tutorial for English 101, creating and sharing a podcast. This is designed to help you with project number 3. Now, we're assuming at this point that you've written your script and have totally familiarized yourself with the script, that you've done your various interviews, that you've chosen the music and sound effects that you want to do, and are ready to record your podcast. So this tutorial is strictly focused on creating and sharing a podcast using GarageBand. So I'm assuming that you're working on a Macintosh here or an Apple computer, because only GarageBand is an Apple product, an Apple software product. So assuming that you have GarageBand installed, you would go to the software file. In this case, it's on my dock, so I would click on GarageBand, and it opens to this splash window. If you've been using GarageBand before, it may open to recent projects, but for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to have it open to the splash window. Now, in order to create your podcast, you simply go to New Project and then Podcast. So let me just click on Songwriting so that you can see that's what it looks like when you click on it. So you click on Podcast, and then you click Choose, and a window opens where it's asking you to save your file. I encourage you to save it as your last name, Project 3. So in this case, it would be Heenan Project 3, since my last name is Heenan. I would encourage you to save it to the desktop, or at least somewhere where you can locate it. So I'm going to click on Desktop here. And then you don't need to worry about the information down here. It's pretty much set for what we need it for. You could create a new folder and save it in that if you wish to. But I'm simply going to click Create. And then it takes a few minutes for the program to open a new file. It looks like it's a little hung up. I've got the, okay, here it is. I'm going to click on Audio so that it has audio options here. Now, as you can see in this window, it says Podcast Track, Male Voice, Female Voice, Jingles. For purposes of this assignment and specifically this tutorial, all we're going to really concern ourselves with is male or female voice. We'll talk about jingles later. And then the podcast track is for enhanced podcasts where you have video and images, and we're not asking you to do that for this particular project. So for this tutorial, if I were male, I would choose the male voice. Since I'm female, I'm going to choose the female voice. And then as you see down here, let me make this a little smaller. In this window, we have 3 icons. One is a music icon. That makes it disappear, so I don't want to do that. It's notes for a music. The other is I for information, and this is Omega. Omega is where you get the loop browser. We're not using that for this project, so we go to I, which is where you hide and view the track information. So this opens a window or a section of the window with various options available to us. You can take a look at these for yourself, but for our purposes today, we're going to click on Podcasting, since that's what we're creating, and we're going to click on Female Narrator, because I'm female and I'm narrating a podcast. All right, you don't need to worry about any of this information down here. If you know how to use various things here, then you might want to get concerned with it, but for our purposes, you don't need to do so. One thing you do want to check is the level of the volume here. As it says set the volume track, and you can move it down for it to be much lower and up to be much higher. You're not seeing any effect right now because I'm not in GarageBand making this recording, but I recommend that you do it about halfway through. What you want to do is, before you begin to record, speak into the microphone and make sure that it doesn't come on this high end. Okay, so now you're ready to record. In order to do so, you go down to the bottom of the screen and you click on the Start or Stop Record button, the red record button. So you click on that and your recording begins. So this is the window, it's called the inspection window, and that's where the narration is being recorded. This is the editing window. And so we'll deal with these two things in the next project. But let's say that you're reading your introduction here and you need to stop for a reason. You just simply click the button here, which is stop, and actually it's a play button, but while you're recording, it's the stop button. Say you go get a drink of water, you don't want to record yourself drinking the water. So when you're done, you can simply hit record and begin where you ended. Okay? And we continue with the discussion, and then we're done. Now, you notice here that there are two tracks. Okay, there's a split here. But what GarageBand will do is when you're done with the project, and again, in this case, we're just making a simple narration, you go up to the window at the top, to the File menu. It says GarageBand File Track, very similar to other programs, and you click on Share. Then you click on Send Podcast to iTunes, because that's where you want to have it located to listen to it and to upload it to other areas such as Blackboard or to your blog, wherever your teacher asks you to send it. So you select Send Podcast to iTunes, and this window opens. Now, I already have information provided here because I've used iTunes before. Yours may not have any information, and you can add this information here if you wish to do so or not. But so that I just, this isn't, because this is a separate project from one that I'm doing for other purposes, I'm going to write project 3 in my playlist so that I can find the information. And if you're familiar with using iTunes, you know how playlists work. This way I can search by my last name, the album name, maybe I want to make it a project 3 album, and then I'm ready to go. Now you have two options for encoding. One is an AAC encoder and the other is the MP3 encoder. For project number 3, you want to send this you want to encode this as an MP3 file. So you simply click on that. And because this is a spoken podcast, that's what's selected, but you could also do higher quality, which in fact you may want to do once you've mixed everything. But for the purposes of this tutorial, we're going to click spoken. And you can read here that it's optimized for spoken podcasts, small files which download fast, etc. Okay, and you can see this file is only like 0.2 megabytes, so it's not very big at all. And then you click share. Now you see here that it's creating a mixdown, and that's where it solidifies these two files. Then it exports to iTunes. So iTunes should be opening. In my case, iTunes is having a bit of a problem on my laptop, so I get the spinning rainbow, and so I'm going to quit iTunes at this point so that I don't run into a problem. Okay, so I'm going to force quit iTunes maybe. It still says exporting to iTunes because GarageBand thinks that it's doing so. Okay, so that's the first tutorial for GarageBand, simply showing you how to record and share your podcasts. The part 2 of this will show you more about editing and mixing tracks. All right, so I hope that this has been helpful to you, and on to the second tutorial